Hello ladies and gents, Brew.com here, Arne Pulse at the mic. Today I would like to show you some weirdly taped match between Abzan company at the bottom of your screen, and at the top you have basically Naya Cat's Zoo, something very close to that. We had a limited environment, but we tried to have the most fun possible and at the same time also show it to you guys. With this narration, I'll try to explain everything that's gonna be going on in case it wouldn't be like super duper visible and so on. Yeah, kinda standard, some random one drop from the zoo deck, which is cat themed, so all the creatures are just cats. So it planes into step links. His build is not like super optimal, but it's very close to something that I actually think is not really horrible, like to play at your local FNM. Probably wouldn't take it to a trial or PPTQ, I think, but for FNM, like very reasonable. And yeah, like his sideboard is actually pretty good, and just had like few replacements here, but the list he's looking into is pretty good. So I started just with a Temple Garden there. That's the green-white duel. He just smashed for 2. Basically, normal Naizu does play a lot of fetchlands, but this deck with Staplinks, just because of the theme and all the flavor, it really has to play a lot of fetchies. So I believe that was a Plains and a Spellskite, and in response to Spellskite, he actually Lightning Helix me, which was, I think, a mistake, but you can pardon him because he is not a very regular grind and so on. I know this was kind of like hard for you, but it's a good example for casual players of like what not to do normally in a matchup like this. But I would actually have some tough spots in this matchup. Some would be kind of tricky. So yeah, because he wouldn't be able to attack even with the Exalted trigger. If he would have had the fetch lands, then maybe he would like attack first, because then the step links would be large enough, and then he would get the Exalted trigger as a bonus. But because it was just a land and not a fetch land, so just a basic, so he sacrificed it to break the Spellskite first and then attacked. So with the turn 3 kitchen things, I'm kind of like trying to stabilize here. I took a pain off of the Horizon Canopy as my 3rd land, so I only gain 1 life, but I got a good blocker on board, and yeah, definitely his draws were not spectacular. Now it's a fetch time, but it's alright. I didn't take much damage from lands, in fact just 1, and then he did attack me, but I get like 1 life back, so I'm in okay shape. Definitely I would be way more inclined to block every time I would be able to if I would be playing against Naya Burn, but against this cat too, sometimes you can take in the damage because now they don't have so many burn spells. There was a Path to Exile on the kitchen thing, so that was pretty damn annoying, but not the end of the world. And Link's continuing just attacking for 2 a turn. That's not like insane, and nothing else really is added to the board, so that's the kind of position I'm looking for with the Abzan company deck. It's okay, I would be probably in a much rougher shape if I would be actually playing against the less flavorful zoo deck, but when you look at it, just comparing to the normal zoo, this Naya Cat version, it's not that much difference. You still have a bunch of 1-drops, you still have some good 2-drops, but yeah, pre-Maz is not really quite Tarmogoyf, things like that, so that's why I'm saying it's not like a super competitive deck, but for store play definitely okay, and it's a collection and a playable modern deck all in one. Yeah, just because of Staplings you probably want to play something like at least 10 fetchies or something. And not that many lands. He does play a Johnny Vengeance just because it's a cat, so it's a like big 4 drop to look forward to, but I don't know. Flooding is the worst enemy of such decks. Okay, his Staplings is bigger, but I passed the turn with 4 mana up, so obviously what's coming up is a collected company for me. Hoping to flip something like a Wall of Roots among Fangs just so that I would have a huge blocker for all the times. Flipped Viserys here in Melira instead, which is quite okay, like one piece away from the combo, which his deck definitely cannot beat. And yeah, I'm definitely not blocking here, even though the damage from the Stapling's been adding up. And it's getting tricky, but he's low on gas, kind of flooding here a little bit. But he does still have some cards in hand, so there is a chance of Bold Path or Helix in response to the combo. So I gotta play it somewhat carefully, but I shouldn't be way too conservative either. So what I'm going to do just before attacks, main phasing company, just because I wanted to see what I would get so that I would decide on my attacks, what to keep blocking with next turn and so on. It doesn't really have like goblin guides and such, so I shouldn't be afraid of hasty creatures, so there is that. I'm basically playing a very standard version of the deck, at least as far as the main deck goes. The only like difference between this build and other stock builds, let's say, is that I have both Pontiff and Causally Pride Mage main deck, no voice main deck, and then I squeezed in a Spike Feeder and the Archangel Thune. I'm not sure I should have done it that way, because what I had to sacrifice was 23rd land and 1 witness, leaving just 2. But it's kind of a meta call in a way as well, because I'm running into a lot of hate, and a lot of the time against aggressive decks I find myself taking out some of the witness copies, like at least one, keeping 1 or 2 against aggro decks, like Zoo and Burn and variants. Here I end up flipping Pontiff and the Kitchen Things, so nothing like super amazing, but it's okay. So if he has an answer, he can break up the combo, of course. Just once I activate it, then he has to respond by trying to shoot something down. But at least I have a good board, and I can start attack, and I have some blockers, and I'm gonna probably gain some life. He doesn't have a Tarkus command in the deck, but he does have Boris Charm, for example. But yeah, his draws were kinda like, well, not kinda, like really slow. That's the matter with not having Tarmogoyf and even something like Loxodon Smiter in your deck. And now it's a card that's replacing, I think, one of the big hitters, which I have no idea why it's in the deck, but hey, like, actually, it's Vexen Shushu, and I'm perfectly fine with it from the sideboard of the deck. It at least does something, but it's definitely not a main deck card. And if you would have had, instead of that step links, maybe something like a Wild Nacatl, for example, and I don't know, just two Wild Nacattles, I would have been in a much more rough shape this game, that's for sure. That's for sure. He's just passing the turn, but yeah, nothing for me to be really scared of, except for maybe some removal in response to my activation of the combo, because he tapped red here weirdly. I'm assuming that there is a path to exile and not a bolt or helix, which is sort of a relief, possibly because that means less burn at his hand to like throw at my face. Casting Scavengenos here, and I think I was thinking of something else. Yeah, casting a bird as well. Leaving a couple of green mana up in case I would want to use the ooze. The board from my side is getting kind of like clogged up a little bit. I think instead of just passing, I could have cleaned the board for him with the... No, I couldn't. Actually, yeah, because when I had the trigger from Pontiff, he only had the steplings. Well, the cat will join the party, but it's too late. Safely too late. Basically, any Naya Zoo, and I'm not talking about burn, needs to draw a good combination of removals and burn spells and creatures. But yeah, because Ooze is gonna do some work pretty much every turn. This game is slowly slipping away from him, and I have way too many blockers. And even while he has a path or something for my kitchen things there, it doesn't really matter anymore. Especially since I have this Archangel, which even without the combo is just gonna be so merciless, and with all this crowd, my team's gonna be soon able to safely attack free, and I will be at high enough life total as well. And then he pretty much can never use this path. Well, he can use it on the Archangel, that's sure, but then he would need another answer to my combo, so he would need two removals. Yeah, there is just very little for him to do. I suppose if he would have had like a path for the angel and then some burn for the kitchen things as a backout, then he would be okay. But I guess he didn't, so he packed it in the next game. Yeah, he reached the point of no return, basically. I guess his version, I actually think it's not super necessary to bring in all the hate we have. There isn't that much to start with either. It's about the Burrington, which I'm not sure whether I played that particular day, but I normally do. I mean, the 4 standard. I think I was thinking about bringing in voices, but then I decided that I don't really need them. Definitely bring in like a couple decades and past, somebody plays 3 copies of all of those cards. Master Impulse is a nice cards to have, that's for sure. So yeah, I was thinking about voices. So yeah, I did play Force Thunder that day. And then I have one Spellskite in the sideboard, so one main. That seems like a fine addition. But yeah, I didn't really need the voices. I definitely did bring a Courser, I think, because it's life gain, it's a 4 toughness creature, etc. And it's kind of like card advantage. So when he's running out of steam, I can kind of like pull ahead just because of card advantage strictly. I am trimming Pontiff with list of 1 witness, then some parts of the combo, like 1 Seer, 1 Nilar or something, a couple of chords. I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep a couple of chords because he can't really beat the combo, and it's hard for him to interact with me. And I didn't really need the voices in this matchup. I didn't feel like it. Against some other zoo variants or some other tempo aggro decks, I would probably feel like I should keep voices. And definitely they're good against mid-ranges and control. Well, not all mid-ranges, but most of them. So that's pretty much how I sided. Yeah, my sideboard is kind of tricky. I have Pride Mage and Kataki, and sometimes Pride Mage and Rex Sage. Then instead of a bunch of Scholars or Sync Collectors, I have triple voice in sideboard, again Courser and Farika. And yeah, as for ramp matchups, I don't really have much. Think I should, but it's just about the meta call. Sometimes you have to run all those, sometimes not. It depends on what decks you expect. I always keep Mind Sensor in the deck because it helps Tron Escape Shift and mirror matches as well, basically. And then I had a Evoker for a while, but it's also a meta call. Sometimes you simply don't have space for it. And then the newly found tool against Jant and Grixis, against their Kalitas, that's the Devote Lightcaster. That's a triple white, 2/2 per black, and when comes in, exiles a black permanent, so it deals with the Kalitas. You can court for it, it's much more stable than Fiend Hunter, and you can even get rid of Liliana, for example, or Olivia, or something like this. And it can also be flipped from company. I like it, that's for sure. Randomly even gets rid of Siege Rhinos and stuff like that. Can get rid of Peter Blossom even, for example. Just a few examples of relevant cards. But yeah, a bunch of techie cards always come at a price of some sideboard slots. I see a tendency that less people try to run Sync Collector and just run Scholars. I can understand that. Just want creatures and something that can be flipped from company. Sometimes all you need is just to slow down. You're not bringing in Scholars really against a deck full of removal, so you're bringing them against super fast combo decks and Tron or Escape Shift decks. So all you need sometimes is just to buy time till you get to combo or something like that. And then I don't know, I kinda like Stony Silence, but I can see why people just simply play Ghazali plus a Rex Sage and those slots and not even playing Kataki. Although Pride Mage plus Kataki probably is a better choice, because you're always gonna need something like a Pride Mage, but you probably need Kataki more than you need Rex Sage most of the time, because Kataki just wrecks them and Rex Sage is just okay. At instant speed sometimes you can get it on board and kill a plating or something, or Master of Ethereum. So he just showed me that that thing was a mountain indeed. He's kind of picky, very not just casual, but a kind of collector type of guy, and likes pretty art. So he ran out of foil mountains for some reason, and not just any foil mountain. Foil mountains he likes. Same thing again. This game plays into steplings. Oh yeah, I played this weekend at GP Trial for London with the Melira deck. It was okay, but it was a small tournament with a top for a cut, and expectedly got overwhelmed and crushed against Grixis control. Really one matchup that it's really disgusting. Even with Devote Lightcaster, it's often not enough. Especially when you don't see it at all in a game. So I went down to something like 16 after a shock and attack from the links. So I tried for a manual combo, I think, that game. Or not. No, I think I actually had just a few removals in my hand. Attacked with the Seer, and after landing a green fetch, just passed back. I think what I'm trying to do here is just to go for a DK. I hate it when he plays stuff before combat, because now I was torn to actually see what I'm doing. So either just kill the steplings and save myself a couple extra damage, or just kill the wild Nekatl there. But I think I had more removal and some decent blockers left in my hand, so I think I decided to actually kill the steplings. I'm grabbing the forest here because I had more lands in hand, at least one more. I'm not sure, but I maybe had a Voice of Resurgence in my hand. I decided not to play it because, well, it wouldn't really block the steplings that well if you had a land drop there. And then I would have to take a shock land for the white. Because my fetch was the red-green one. The Werden Catacombs wouldn't really help here, because I would still have to find the shock land if I wanted to cast a Voice turn 2. It just wasn't that great. Oh yeah, I had a Plains in my hand, right? But I decided to sit on that DK last turn, and Plains doesn't help you cast Abrupt Decay. Landing down a Burnt and Forest Tender just as a backup for some nasty bolts in the future. Plus I know that he sided in a couple of Volcanic Fallouts, which is a pretty spicy card for his deck actually. It's a sweeper, it's like a Pyroclasm, but it can be countered, it deals damage to face, which is relevant, and all his cats normally will survive because they're all most of the time free toughness. even though step links is kinda tricky in that regard. So yeah, the cattle is coming in. It's not red, so first ender wouldn't help. It's just another decay to get rid of the cat. Oh yeah, I think I just decided not to side in voices in that matchup. Anyways, it was just all about abrupt decay mana in the first place. It's not well Meowed and pass, so which is kinda like sad for him because it's hard for me to run out of creatures to block the cat. Now I have a kitchen things, gives me more life. Now Helix or Bolt doesn't break the combo. All I need is just to find the third piece, so here I will be inclined not to block the cat with the things. That's for sure. But he has a path, in fact, for my kitchen things. I can eat the things and let it stay there, so that an offensive plus something can still reset it. It's kinda tricky. What should you like target here with the path? Because he didn't play against this deck all that much. Well, he did technically. Sorry for that, but like, oh wait, I'll explain the stuff. So I think I should. The correct is to target Viserys here normally, but because most of the time he would have different deck, different board position, and I would have a different board position. I would just either just win in one turn and he would have nothing, something like that. So he didn't really face situations like that much. So yeah, he attacked with the cattle, played the loam line, that's a 2-3 cat. I have now a few options what to do. I think I just passed. I think I just had another collected company in my hand. Well, no reason for him not to attack here, especially since the Fangs is 2-1 right now. So in response I'm fetching for my 4th land. So yeah, it's a company coming up. So let's see what it brings to me. Let's see what I get. It's just, I believe, wall of roots and a bird. Nothing spectacular. Plus I hit a couple of creatures, one of which can actually block very well against his deck. Then I can obviously always just block with the bird and sacrifice it to scry to try to dig for something good. Just a single card calling really helps here. I think I just took 2 damage and blocked with the fall. But I think I could have been a bit more aggressive than that and block with the bird and eat it to scry. Because it's a bit like tricky to follow all the blocks and attacks, but luckily my memory doesn't normally deceive me that much, especially when I'm the one actually playing and then commenting. Yeah, I think I was still at pretty decent life total, so I could have afforded not to block both of them. Plus with Force Tender I kinda have insurance against burn spells, so I can get pretty low. It's just another loam line, nothing spectacular. Nothing really spectacular. If you would be playing against some mid-range, you would just be in much better shape, I feel like. But me just clogging the board, gaining life, that's just annoying for that deck, really. Well, John and Abzan can gain life with Handmaster or the Siege Rhino, but they would take much more pain from lands, and they wouldn't really clog the board that much. And they wouldn't have a threat of just going for infinite combo. I believe that's a Coco on my turn. Yeah, like my main phase. Just wanted to see where I would have been able to go for the combo here. I believe that's a Witness and actually Voice. So Witness brought back Company, I think. So I did end up actually siding in Voice, but I think for game 3 I would take him out, because it's kinda weak against 2/3s, and even though it's gonna make a giant body, but it's not gonna help as much as I would like to. So here the good idea is to block something with the wall, doesn't matter what, then probably block the other two with Voice and Witness. Hit them both before damage and scry a couple of times. Just trying to dig for more companies and chords and stuff. And then I would have a giant blocker for whatever his next thing is. And then if he passed that, that's not a big problem either. Oh yeah, so he finishes off the wall with the Helix, which is probably fine. So I ended up scrying just once, I think. That means I kept the first scry on top because I had the chance to scry 2 times. Anyways, I ate his Nacatl, because I believe I double blocked it with Witness plus Voice, which was probably a fine plan. And he decided to actually kill Voice, which I'm not sure was correct in that situation. So I'm attacking with the squad, so not that much, laying up some blocks. I'm not sure where kitchen things went. In fact, because it takes a lot for me to reset and go off, I actually blocked with it. Perhaps I was at really low life in here, so didn't want to get greedy. Pride Mage doesn't do a whole lot here. He doesn't have good attacks either because my voice token is a 5/5. Here So he's kinda running out of steam. He really wants to attack, but he can't, and that's kind of a emotional conundrum for less active players. Like, you're playing an aggro deck, which you really like aesthetically and so on, but you can't really attack, and that really annoys you. It's like with Hearthstone, if like Face Hunter or like aggro Shaman cannot really go face up well, and losing on board, it's just so frustrating. No matter what level of a player you are. Needless, I even had the company, and I actually would have had the combo here, because there will be an offense and a creature coming with it, so I would reset the things. So I could have got, I was able to get greedy, but decided not to, for some reason. Well, yeah, here it's just like Spellskite and voice token blocking his cats. But because before blocks he eats my Spellskite with Quasali Pride Mage. I think I'm not in the... don't really have like that bad situation here. I think I just pathed one of the cats and blocked over with Elemental, and that's just way too much. It's just way too much. There was tiny bit of hope with like few good top decks for him, but yeah, I guess he lost his temper when I pathed one of those two cats. Yep. And I was again one piece away from combo. I admire his dedication, motivation, etc. to just play it out really till the end. I wouldn't have waited for this long actually in that game if I would have played that Zoo deck. Yeah, also this deck is kind of good budget introduction for new players to Modern. It's cheaper than the normal Zoo, of course, because of lack of armor, but then again, because of gaps like that, you can't really expect huge results from the deck. Plus, Zoo right now is not exactly the aggro deck in the format. It's more like Affinity or Depth Shadow aggro or Infect, essentially. Sometimes Zoo gets there, but it's tough. It's tough. Most of the time you're much better off just playing Naya Burn. Or Merfolks for that matter, another not super expensive modern deck to start with in the format. But yeah, if like you want to play with a bunch of coverings in it and mutables, then it's again gonna become a little bit pricey. But comparing to Grixis Control, I guess that's not that bad, perhaps. Although I guess the most expensive deck in the format is still Junt. I think I'm now just taking out voices and bringing back some cards. I know, I suppose more chords and more combo pieces back into the deck, probably. Don't remember exactly, but I think I just took out voices and brought some of the pieces back. Yeah, this matchup is quite unfavorable for the cats, but like with some good draws, they can get like pretty decent tempo. I don't think he really misplayed all that much in the past like 2 games or something you've seen so far, but he definitely could have had much better draws, that's for sure. And then, believe it or not, Bremas coupled up with couple balls is actually a problem. Uh, it's actually not that easy to have a very big, very fast Armagoyf. So Bremas is kind of great in the regard that it just keeps on producing tokens, and you can really go wide with your attacks, and all of those points count. Basically, if you would draw bolts and such for semi creatures early on, and then play Bremas, and then let's say we'll have Wall of Fruits, but he would kill all other creatures, he would still keep on making 1/1s and things like that. It's just that like I will have to keep on drawing good creatures. He would always be able to finish off my wall as well. Again, the same thing, third game in a row. Plains into Steplings. I go for fetch into basic for bird. No, I actually took Temple Garden, right, because my hand was kinda looking pretty solid, I believe, at that point. So yeah, you really need a lot of fetches to make Steplings work. I think at the extreme case of Boras during Old Zendikar, because of 2 crazy landfall creatures, Steplings and Geopede, that deck played sometimes up to 14 fetch lands or something. At least 11, if not 14. Just a couple of shocklands and a few basics, and that's it. It was 2 colors, so it was kinda easy to play a bunch of fetchies, plus the deck was it had a very low curve, because it did play Ranger Views, for example, so some 4 drops, but the curve was still pretty low. I'm actually fine with jump, but I don't know how to fix the Grixis control matchup. Maybe just to get a bit lucky and draw a little bit better on average. So Steplings is coming for 2. Nothing special there. Second land mounting. That means no, possibly no cats. Kept a 1 land there, but had some good plays. Second bird in the seer. And his build is actually not super fast. I'm not sure I like that Boris Charm there at the end, kind of in the style of Naya Burn, but it's okay. You probably wouldn't be doing that if that would have been Lightning Helix. So now he got his green mana, but so what? There are no big cats, sadly. Everything is something like 2-3 or 3-3. Well, Bremas is 3-4, sure. But you need to draw it, it's legendary. Double white, of course, with a decent mana base, that's not a problem. His attack is 3 here still. And then there is another Steplings. If you would draw a fetch land, this will be kinda harsh. especially if I don't draw my second land. I'm on 3 mana at least, so there is that. Using up 2 for voice, which is decent here. So it seems like I didn't take out the voices. Seems like I didn't take him out. He does hit the land. That's sadly not a fetch land. He can attack with the cats. It's quite alright here. Can actually double block one of them if I would really want to. But I think in that case, if you would have something like a bolt, I would be totally wrecked. If you would tap out for something and then attack, then sure. So here comes a Johnny. But it doesn't exactly tap anything, and I hate that he played it before combat again. Just another mistake. So Johnny doesn't tap, so it's much better just to freeze the land, or freeze a bird at least. Freezing a bird might be actually better here. Anyways, he goes to attack, so I'm taking 2 and buffing one of the stablings. That means it's still the same amount of damage, so which is an overlook on my part. And this is why I decided to still block it with voice and get a token and scry and keep it on top. Because I suppose it was a land, which I still kinda need despite having a couple of birds in play already. Don't think it was the best turn to play a Johnny, but I guess he had to do that. But maybe he just wouldn't attack at all. Okay, I'm eating a Johnny with the voice token, the elemental, and just play the Spellskite. Again, feeling pretty great about my chances. Actually, 4 mana Elspeth really would be a good addition to this deck, but it's not a cat, so yep. But if you don't really care about the theme, about the flavor, then in Naya Zoo, in this kind of million one-drop zoo, you should probably consider playing the Night Errant, unless you're really pushing the low mana curve thing, and then you don't really have a high enough land count. And I actually think his cat zoo kinda has a lot of lands in it, even despite all these paths flying around. So Fleece mainline, not the most impressive 2-drop in Modern, but it's an okay creature. It's an okay creature. We get really spoiled in the past few years, especially for Eternal formats. I'm untapping, I have 1 piece, I have Spellskite, I have some mana, I have creatures to block. I believe that was a Scavenging Ooze, which can become quite annoying for him. So he's reading again his card just to make sure that he actually remembers what it does, because he actually doesn't play it that often. And what it does is for 5 mana you can get monsters. It becomes actually 4/4 with hexproof and indestructible, which is good, but I don't know why he decided to send in the step links there. Because I guess he just likes to attack and lose, if that's what it is. He just doesn't like stare downs, I know. I'm telling you. Yeah. I can block the lion with the elemental, and then block the cat with something like an ooze. Just need to grow it. I have a bird in the yard and I have the mana from that bird, so it seems logical to me to do that. And I hope that's exactly what I did there. And I really hope that's exactly what I did there. Boom, boom, boom. So I don't know what was the pause. I guess I was just trying to focus in the late evening with a huge heat every day. So there was a lightning helix at the Viserys here, and that was pretty bad play, because I just paid blue from the bird to give to redirect the helix to the spellskite. I guess I decided to block and scry with the seer there because I was 2 parts away from the combo. And with the elemental token, I don't really care about that lion that much. On the other hand, here I think I could have misplayed, because if the elemental token blocked the lion, then there were 4 damage on it, and after I lost the seer, I feel like I had just 3 creatures on board, 4 creatures on board, so the elemental should have died. So I think I really misplayed that turn. What I should have done was just probably pay 2 life for the spellskite ability to redirect and just block with the ooze and eat the bird. Maybe that wasn't ooze, because that's a foil, and maybe take what's actually Melira for an ooze. But I kind of feel like that was an ooze. Yeah, it was an ooze. Now I see it. And now you see me too. So company main phase just to see what's going on. Plus he stepped out. So just want to take this opportunity to do something. Hit kitchen things and what? Is that another part of the combo? Well, probably gonna determine it here, but he's scooping it out because he's kind of getting outclassed, even though that elemental should have died there. Oh well guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe or leave comments below to tell me about more misplays or your impressions about the deck. Okay, see you guys next time. Until the next sale, goodbye.